Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Direct Selling Executive Forum's open forum. Today is an incredible session. For those of you that are brand new to the open forum and haven't gotten to attend some of the events before, we welcome you. If you're checking us out on the stream or you're listening on Spotify or watching on the YouTube channel or inside of our LinkedIn group, welcome. If you haven't yet officially joined the DSEF, the Direct Selling Executives Forum is a free invite-only community for direct selling executives to plug into, where you get to ask questions and share thoughts, and we bring out other executives, thought leaders, and vendors in the direct sales space who all speak about what they've seen to be true on different topics. One of the things we get really excited about is frameworks. We love frameworks, like things that you can apply to your own business that we've learned from others. And today's topic is winning frameworks for compliance departments. And when this topic came up and some of the questions with it, I said, oh my gosh, we got to invite Donna Marie out. Now, if you don't know who Donna is, I'm going to welcome her in a moment before Omar kicks off the actual session for us today. But I met Donna almost a decade ago at one of the Edge conferences, right, Donna? I think that's where we first met for the very first time, was in a room full of a bunch of folks wanting to start up a new direct selling company. And Donna was unpacking the importance of how to structure a compliance department and principles to follow. And it's always stuck in my head. And so when questions came in about frameworks with some of the teams she's run and just her clients and how she served them in the space, I said, Donna's going to be the one for us. So Donna, thank you so much for joining us here today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate it very much.
All right. And if you're not familiar with Donna Marie's work, she consults to dozens of direct sales companies on compliance and frameworks, has a whole team in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, that works with groups from all over the world, and just an incredible resource in the space. So with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and start the show. I'm going to go ahead and invite our host for season 2, Omar Qureshi, out to kick us off with the questions for the panel. Omar, thanks for being here today, and thanks for hosting for us.
Thank you, Ben. Hi, welcome, Donna, and it's really exciting to see you here today. The subject will be, as Ben described, winning framework for compliance departments. We teach that there are 4 pillars to a proper compliance department. We love frameworks at the DSEF. Can you unpack your 4 pillars for the executives on the call today?
Sure, I will do that. First, let me talk about the highly regulated business landscape, because establishing a compliance or a robust compliance framework is essential for any direct selling company if they're going to thrive and maintain a strong reputation. They're just not going to be able to do it without a robust plan. The 4 pillars that I believe make up compliance departments. First is the management and framework development. So the first pillar talks about the management of the department. It starts with establishing clear objectives and defining the department's roles and responsibilities. A compliance team should be assembled, led by an experienced professional with a deep understanding of the regulations, and they'll be responsible for putting together the compliance department. So management and framework development are key to the first pillar of setting up a compliance department. Framework should also involve outlining and reporting escalation processes, communication channels, and seamless coordination and accountability with other departments. Sometimes compliance gets left out as the red-headed stepchild and nobody knows what's happening in compliance, but the company goes on and on. So that's super important in the management. The education is the next key pillar. And it's not just the education of the field team. It's the executives, the customer service. Everyone has to be taught, because as you know, Ben, it starts at the top and kind of rolls down.
Oh, how many times have we been at a convention and the CEO or the chief science officer gets on stage and starts talking, and we say, oh, like your heart just sinks. You're like, oh wait, we can't say that out loud. Like you just, even if that happened, you can't say that out loud. And like, it happens. It's education for the field. It's education for the vendors that are going to speak at your events. It's education for your executive team.
Owners. The executive team. Yeah. So we focus on comprehensive education. We take the policies and procedures and make them into bite-sized pieces. That 44-page document, we take that and make it about anywhere from 2 to 8 pages. And then we teach on those social media marketing policies so that the field knows what's required of them. The third pillar is monitoring of field representation ongoing. It involves having a system. I like a digital system. I like to analyze the data and look at the distributor reports, the customer complaints, and the monthly monitoring reports that they kick out. So I'm really excited about that. Proactive monitoring is essential. It can help detect deviations from established policies. And if you don't monitor, you're not going to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
So automated compliance tools. The fourth one is going to be enforcement of the policies and procedures. So enforcement is critical. You've got to have a transparent and consistent enforcement policy. And if you don't uphold it, there's no point in even having policies and procedures.
Exactly.
Kevin Grimes always says that. If
Yep.
you're not going to uphold the policies and procedures, just don't have them, because it's going to hurt you more in the long run.
Exactly.
So those 4 pillars are my 4 pillars for compliance.
You know, there's a lot to unpack. That this framework, gang, is what this whole show is about. So I love that, Donna. Thank you for setting the stage. Let's roll back for a second. You talked about clear objectives. We get book recommendations all the time on this show, and we've talked in the past about books like Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and like I hear that echoing through what you were just sharing. Is when it comes to creating a management framework, gang, you got to know why. Like, why are you having a compliance department? What's the heart of this place? It's not always just to slap someone on the wrist. It's or hey, don't do that. It's that Donna led to it or later in her framework. That heart to educate is a big thing when they see you as like, no, we're not here to get you in trouble as a compliance partner. We're here to help you stay out of trouble and have this beautiful long-term business that thrives. Like when you can be seen in that light, you're winning and they're more likely to comply with you. So Don, thank you for highlighting that. One of the pieces that is missing a lot that I'd like you to open up a little bit more under reporting, you talked about escalations and communication channels. I am blown away so many times on like the creative ways distributors find to go communicate with potential prospects in this day and age. Any stories that are relevant the last 1 year of just new communications that channels that surprised you? Like, I didn't think we'd have to be monitoring, like at first, a year and a half ago, I didn't think we'd have to be monitoring TikTok, and now everyone's monitoring TikTok, or I didn't think we'd have to be monitoring Instagram Reels, and now you're monitoring Instagram Reels. So I'm just curious, you do so many projects. What communication channels, just let's pause for a moment, have surprised you over the last year or two? What was?
Oh, it's amazing. Everything from Clubhouse to TikTok to you name it. I mean, it's crazy what people will do to get to people. WhatsApp.
Yes.
I never thought I'd have to monitor WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is like, oh, compliance headaches all over.
Yeah.
So a lot of the communication is like you said, it's progressive, it's technology, it's coming at us faster than we even know what is next. And for a compliance department, you do need to be responsible for what those distributors are saying and doing on social media. Unfortunately, that's a requirement.
You've also touched on these ideas of having a reactive compliance system of like, hey, if you're out there monitoring, at least you can react to what they're doing inside of the space. And that's a critical part, gang. I always see it as 2 edges of a sword, like building a good marketing system, building great content the members can share, doing all that messaging. If you rewind back to Brent Duncan's episode in the last season, he talked about frameworks for compelling content to share. That was all the proactive stuff, give people good quality content to share that's compliant, that actually gets sales, and they won't make up random stuff to get attention. Okay, cool thought. But you still have to watch what happens at the end. So I hope you heard that from Donna. You're not out of the woods yet. You still gotta monitor on the back end who's saying what and what are they actually doing, and how are you tracking that? And there's a number of different software providers that help with that. I know Donna implements some, and then there's others have even spoken on the panel. So there's a number of solutions. You have to figure out which one's best for your business, but you gotta realize that monitoring on
what I believe, Ben?
Yeah.
I believe that you really need to have 2 types of monitoring, really 3 types. The field monitors themselves, they have to self-police.
Yeah.
because they know what's going on out there. Then you've got digital monitoring, which is great. We have wonderful digital monitoring available. IntegraShield is the platform we use. It's a fantastic platform. And then we also do manual monitoring. Yes, I have ladies that sit in here and do manual monitoring. They look at what's coming through with IntegraShield. It gives them ideas to go look in other places. Sometimes we can find things that the digital monitoring doesn't find, or link together two different parties that may be, in cahoots, putting some wrong information out there. So we do a combination of monitoring. We really want to see what's going on in the field.
Wow, that's a great insight. Thank you, Donna. Well, the next question is, when it comes to building a compliance team, who do you believe you need on the team?
Good question. Good question. Minimal number of people, but from a compliance standpoint, especially in smaller organizations with limited resources, you've got to focus on the essential roles that can cover most of the critical compliance aspects. So one would be the compliance officer, manager, coordinator, whatever you call that compliance person that knows what's going on in the department. They'll be the central figure responsible for overseeing the compliance activities. So they're managing the program, they're ensuring adherence to the relevant guidelines. So that compliance person should always be included. Mamma mia, I find out the owner and the rep had a conversation, cleared everything up, and it's over, and the compliance person wasn't even involved. So come on, we need to have the compliance person, maybe a legal expert or a consultant. I'm on a lot of compliance committees. And there's usually a little committee, who's going to decide about this person's fate, especially if it's a suspension or a termination. So the lawyer, the consultant, the compliance officer, and sometimes even one of the owners will want to pop on and be involved in that decision-making process with the particular distributor.
That's a really solid thought. And depending on the size of your company, like not everyone has in-house counsel, right? And as you're listening, I know some of you are on this line watching this podcast, and you have a dozen attorneys that are in your office every day and are doing this stuff for you. And then others of you on this line, and you're like, well, I'm on retainer with this one firm, but like, do I tax them with helping with this thing? When is it serious or not? And you got to know, terminations are serious business. Donna just said his wisdom is just willy-nilly being the one to decide, should we terminate, should we not? It's always good to take a breath and step back and go meet with someone. Like if you pair up, a great compliance officer with a great legal counsel, and if you're the owner of a small group, and you have to prepare your thoughts and go share it with them of why you think what's next for this person, and have that sounding board. There's all kinds of negative press and lawsuits and just all kinds of stuff that can happen in a termination. And so you have to know, what would you say to court or a mediation if that was going to happen. And if you prepare that up front for your legal team and for your compliance officer, then at least we all know why we made the decision we made when we made it. If you ever have to go to mediation, so God forbid that you do, in that type of a world. So I love that, Donna. That's really good.
Wonderful. Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Ben. Next question would be, when you have an actual incident, what do you believe is the best possible outcome?
Okay, that comes up. The best possible outcome is, first of all, you have to identify it and report it. So the best possible outcome would be doing a thorough investigation, because you have to understand the root cause and the extent of how bad the noncompliance is. Had a gentleman driving around with a sign on his card that said Visa, MasterCard partnered, and the name of their MLM. And he drove around in New York City with this magnetic sign on their car saying Visa, MasterCard partnered with this company. Oh boy, did it get in trouble. The MasterCard, Visa, all of them, they shut down the guy for a couple of weeks just to prove to him that they had a lot of power. And it was a problem. And, you don't know. Distributors make decisions thinking this is the smartest marketing idea I've ever had. And then they go implement. So we want to know
it's so true though. What you just said, Donna, sometimes it's totally well-intentioned. It's just ignorance on fire.
It is.
This will be amazing. Look how I'll get attention. And it's like, oh my Lord.
or
Yeah.
wrong attention.
Oh,
So best possible outcome is to take prompt corrective actions, to just
Yes.
get to the bottom line, and hope that everybody learns from their mistakes and incorporate whatever that situation is into future compliance training. So monitoring is the way to catch whatever it is, and the best possible outcome is that everybody leaves happy. One day we sent out a notification that the person had made unsubstantiated income claims. And he wrote back and said, no, I didn't make unsubstantiated. This is a load of crap. I'm not making
yeah.
unsubstantiated income claims, and he just wrote that out. And we wrote back and said, yes, what you're doing is unsubstantiated income claim. He didn't even know what an income claim was.
Yeah.
So we have to teach the distributors what to look out for other people, and then what to look out for themselves.
That's such a great point too. Is like, it's not always someone being facetious or deceitful at all. Many times, as I'm giggling, laughing, we could share stories for hours here of like things reps thought would be the most brilliant idea in the world. They went and did it, and then the rest of us are cleaning it up. I mean, I've seen everything from a direct selling company fails, and somebody sells their database on eBay in a CD, and these reps think you could just spam email a whole bunch of people, and of course they're gonna want to join your next deal. And it's like, no, these people are very upset. Like, their direct selling company just folded. That's the worst idea of how to go reach out and get an authentic relationship with them, is just to spam email a bunch of them. Like, no, don't do that. You see that kind of stuff. You say, come on, that was not wise. But the attitude, I hope you guys heard the tone from Donna that was very helpful in the framework.
Yes.
The attitude, it wasn't going in there as like, you're evil, you're the problem. She was going in there with, oh man, it's kind of that Southern charm, bless your heart thing. I know Donna's a Vegas gal, but if she was from South Carolina today, she would have said, you got to go on the call and say, bless your heart. Did you know that exactly this? Like, it's kind of that, assume that they had the best intentions in the world, and then ask some questions and educate, and then hope we can move forward. That's what I heard, gang. And I hope you guys get that. That's really where it's all at. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's like 5% that do the wrong thing, and they know they're doing the wrong thing, and they just push the envelope a little bit harder every time,
Yeah.
Right. So the last question would be, what pitfalls have you seen that you would encourage others to avoid?
That's a good question.
All right. Well, there's a lot of pitfalls. Inadequate expertise. You can't have, I don't want to be mean about this, but you can't have customer service person that's never been trained by the DSA or the DSSRC or anybody. You don't put those people in the compliance department, and for heaven forbid, have them monitor. That is just a big pitfall, and that's what a lot of people do. They don't recognize the education you have to run the compliance department. And if you don't have that education, boy, you're going to piss off some distributors when you go telling them they're doing the wrong thing, and they're not. That's the worst. So distributor education, big pitfall. Distributor education, to avoid the pitfalls, you really need to have well-defined processes. Everything needs to be a process. Skilled personnel, ongoing efforts you have to do up to date. Don't let things fall through the cracks. I was on the phone with an attorney today, and he said, oh, you sound like you're pretty organized. I'm like, yeah, I am about as organized as I can be, because you don't want to tell somebody they're doing something wrong, and that's not what they're doing. So you have to avoid the pitfalls. You can use regular audits. If you audit the department, audit your events. Oh my heavens, you go to an event and have somebody stand up and say something they shouldn't. You need to have a compliance person at the event and be watching and auditing what's going on at that event. So there's a lot of ways to avoid the pitfalls. There's a lot of pitfalls, that's for sure. And you just have to go through them one at a time.
Donna, that's such a good, I just think it's such an interesting one you said, is like, I've actually seen clients tastefully do that at events when, it's funny that we would say this, but like, I've seen the MC have to like get a message from like the compliance head to then go on stage in the transition and be like, wow, wasn't Thomas's story amazing and passionate? Wow. But guys, just so we all remember, like, how we share is this way, and we can't say that. So sorry, but you can't say that. If you
Don't
repost
say
it,
that.
you can't post on social media. Sorry, can't say that. You know, like I've literally seen it, but I've seen it done tastefully. And so
Yes.
you want to think about it in your event. To Donna's point is like, some people might say something they shouldn't say at a live event, and what do we do to cover for it, right? And help people know the right thing. Really solid one. We all hear rep education all the time. I love that you started with team education. Many times there's critical roles of our business that we're just rushing and moving fast. I see this with clients all the time, and they're just putting a body in a seat, you know, and what a costly mistake to put someone into a compliance seat who doesn't know what they're doing. They're gonna anger field, and you got to remember, certain field reps could be worth phenomenal amounts of income to your business. And so you do not want to put an untrained person in there. If you do, it's on you. You got to remember that as a leader. Okay. If we back to book recommendations, we always like book recommendations. We talked about Gino Wickman's Traction in the past, one of my favorite books for running a business that helps you think about your seats and your accountability chart in your organization. He has that concept of you can't duplicate someone until you've set ETA, proper expectations, training, and accountability. And what a thought of saying, hey, maybe Julianne would be great for the compliance team. Wow, look, she did a good job in customer service. But have we actually set proper expectations and given her the training to win and proper accountability so she can succeed and have our brand, live up to our brand promise and who we are and honor our stakeholders? That comes back on you as leaders. And so you gotta know that is a pitfall. And it's an expensive one. Some of these mistakes can easily be avoided, and yet they're so costly. So
And speaking of books,
oh yeah, we got it. Let's do it.
My book.
We
We got to
it.
bring up the book.
Let's do it.
We've got Compliance Solutions. What the FTC won't tell you, we will.
Oh,
so this
I
is
love
all
that
about setting
title.
up your compliance department. Do you love that?
I love it. Donna, where can they get a
Absolutely
copy?
love
Where do
it.
they need to go? Let everyone know. Where do they need to go to get
Amazon. They can get it off Amazon.
Perfect. All right.
Makes it easy. Kevin Grimes, Kevin Thompson contributed. Jerry Nura contributed to the book. So that's really, if there's anybody on here that runs a direct selling company and needs to know how to run a compliance department, call me first, but we'll get you the book.
Okay. Wow. And gang, with that in the show notes today, gang, we'll make sure Omar and I get a link in the show notes to Donna's book as well. If you didn't catch that as you're listening, if you click on Spotify or click on YouTube, we'll make sure we link it there as well.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Omar, I want to thank you so much for hosting today. Donna, super pleasure to have you on. For those of you that have asked questions in the portal and in the LinkedIn group, keep it up. We will keep having shows. I'm excited about how many folks have stepped up to even speak in the DSEF this year. The last season was phenomenal, and this season's just getting more and more fun. If you haven't yet subscribed, whether you're on YouTube, or LinkedIn, or Spotify, definitely join the group on LinkedIn. That's where most of the good things happen in our world of sharing information with each other. So if you're ever wondering, like, where do I go to get all the access to the reports and the stuff we all talk about on these shows? LinkedIn. So you should look up Direct Selling Executives Forum, or you can go to www.directSellingExecutiveForum.com, and it will forward you to the LinkedIn group, and you can get access there. Donna, it was a total pleasure to have you on here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I have to do this though, Ben. I have to do this here.
Absolutely.
As the queen of compliance, I'm always watching.
Yes. Wow. Amazing.
That needs to be the cover photo for the episode right there. That is fantastic.
The queen of compliance.
Oh my gosh. I love it. That's so good, Donna. All right.
We have fun with compliance. We do skits. Dr. Kleinsmith and I do a skit that's hysterical about Dr. Non-Compliant. We have a ball with compliance. So make it fun, and your distributors will do the right thing.
Amen. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Have a blessed day. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.